What's up guys, I'm Alina Smith. I'm a writer, producer, and artist. I've worked on projects like Fall Out Boy, Betty Who, ITZY, Red Velvet, Ellie Moore, and so many others. And in this series, I'm going to show you how to take a song from a demo to a final production. Today, I'll be using Luna, which you can get for free, which also comes with a free 30-day trial of Luna Pro. This includes tape and console emulation, which is something really valuable for a producer like myself who's mostly in the box. It's really difficult for me to get that warm analog sound otherwise, so I'm super excited to try all of these features in Luna Pro. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to go from this
when I'm with you, I can see two moons up in the same sky
to this.
Silver on silver, we look damn good, matching our dark sides, seen to.
Let's get started. So what I've got here is a very simple piano vocal demo. It has absolutely no processing on anything. The vocal it's tuned, but it's like fully dry. And it's also a pitched up vocal because originally I did it a couple of semitones down. So it's not a lot to start from, and we're gonna have to imagine a whole track built out of this very simple demo. Let's take a listen.
I love the nights when we turn off the light and we lie in the quiet. When every beat of your heart is in perfect alignment with mine. This love is not flashy. This love ain't gonna blind you when you look at it directly.
Okay, so before we start producing, I want to process this vocal just a little bit. Now, it's not going to be a full vocal chain because we're going to do that in video 3 of this series, but I still want to enhance it a little bit so it's a little bit easier to listen to as we produce around it. So let's go ahead and create a new bus for our vocals. Just choose bus here. We're going to call it all Vox. And I'm thinking API summing is really nice on vocals, HCR 102 is great tape, and Vision is perfect for a console. First thing I want to do in Vision here is just boost a little bit of the mids. Actually 700 would be perfect. Just a touch because we're going to compress a little bit and then we're going to boost the high frequencies to make the vocal nice and crispy and a little more pop. So let's try LA to I'm thinking silver on these vocals.
I love the nights when
good vocal specific presets here. Something like this would be nice. And then we'll grab another instance of Vision. And now I am going to add that nice crispy top end. I usually enhance around 8,000 hertz.
I love the nights
you can hear it get crispy. Not as much. Something like this. And then I'll also do a little bit of a bump around 10. Yeah, it's nice. And now we just need a little bit of verb and delay to make sure it's not so dry. I'm thinking pure plate for our vocals here. And again, we have a lot of really good presets to choose from.
I love the nights when we turn off the
female ballad vocals pretty good.
It's
a nice transparent plate. And now I'm going to look at Galaxy Tape Echo for delay. I'm thinking tempo sync, something simple. I like this. Just a nice 8th note delay. And this will make this vocal a lot more listenable for us as we produce around it. So let's go ahead and jump into production. I'm specifically envisioning taking the song away from the piano ballad land and turning it into more of a mid-tempo song with a bit of a Motown feel. I'm specifically inspired by Ariana Grande's song Dangerous Woman, which also has a nod to Motown with its guitar work. So we're going to start by playing chords on an arpeggio. I'm using the Dream and the Golden Reverb here. The Dream is pretty clean. It's a clean tone with a lot of treble. And for the Golden, I'm using the Hall setting with medium long decay. And I'm adding a little bit of tremolo on the Dream for that nostalgic sound. For the guitar tap tone, I'm using Dream with a pretty clean tone, but also it's all about that golden reverb with a long decay. And I'm also focusing on creating a strumming part for the post-chorus. This is also using Dream with a clean tone and a good amount of hall reverb from the golden. Not going too heavy on the guitar yet. I feel like there will be more parts added later, but I think this is good to start with for the demo. So, and for all the guitars, I'm not processing them too much because they were already pretty heavily processed with the pedals. And I'm pretty much doing Studer on the default setting here, and I'm doing API Vision, also default settings, really just for that analog coloration, and it sounds really good. All right, after I've edited, this is what we've got.
Flashy, this love ain't gonna blind hold you when you look at it directly. And
I did a lot of different textures here. Obviously, we've got this like pizzicato pluck. We've got that think little tap. And on the chorus, we have that arpeggiated chord. And on all of these extensions, I'm using API Vision and I'm using Studer tape just for a little bit of that vintage feel.
can see two moons up in the same sky. Silver on silver we look.
I think this creates a basis for an arrangement for me, something a little bit more expansive in the chorus, something more attack heavy, smaller in the pre's and the verses, and obviously there will be more parts added, but right now this gives me a direction, which I'm going to chase with other instruments now. So next, I think we should take a look at creating a drum section. I do want the drum production on the song to be pretty modern, a little bit more trap oriented than the guitar style that we've chosen. That's my style as an artist. It is also my girl group style, so I think it fits. This is going to be more of a sample-based approach. I'm going to drag in some kicks, some hats, some Foley, snares. Now, I do heavily sound design my drums, and some of these parts I even sound design in Ableton. So I'm going to drag everything in right now, and we can hear how it sounds. All right, so I brought in my drum samples. Let me show you guys what this sounds like in the chorus.
When I'm with you, I can see two moons up in the same sky.
I especially really like this timpani here. It's just a lot of fun and it gives that 60s feel. I do think it needs to be a little ruder, a little bit more present in the mix. So I'm gonna process it with LA2A. Just needs a little bit of compression, I think. And let's go ahead and look at the heavy presets. Oh yeah, that hits nicely. Hard but thicker. That's a perfect name for that preset. And I also am thinking I want to process the top loop quite a bit. It's really soft, which is mostly what I want, but I still want it to kind of be crispier and to cut a little more. I'm thinking specifically Sentry Tube Channel Strip. It's just a really great combo sort of tool where you can compress, you can EQ. There's a lot you can do and it sounds really great. Oh, wow. I kind of like this acoustic guitar preset. Can add a little bit more juice, play with the EQ a bit. Yeah, it sounds quite nice to me. So now that we have our drum section and our main guitar parts, I would really like to start adding other instruments. And there are a lot of great instrument options that come with Luna Pro with really good presets that are easy to use and get started with, which I think will be great for this demo stage. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off this demo piano now, and I'm gonna see if we can find some other instruments that we can use here. Specifically, I'm thinking organ. So let's go ahead and make a new instrument track here. It's super easy to do. It's just like adding audio or a bus. We can choose our tape and console emulation, but we can also choose which instrument option to use. And for me, it's going to be shape. So and you can either program your parts in right here, or you can play them on the keyboard, which is what I'm going to do. There's definitely some really nice presets here, and what I'm thinking for the verse specifically is I'm gonna play the chords and then drag my finger down the keyboard, one of these. So let me try this and see how it turns out. I actually really like the sound, Drawbar Gospel, but I do think I want to soften it with some reverb. So I'm putting Pure Plate on it, and I went ahead and automated it to get a little bit wetter towards the end of the phrase, especially this keyboard run, just so it becomes a little bit blurrier because it is pretty harsh right now. It sounds more like an effect this way, which I like. And I think I'm gonna lean into it more by pitching down the end of this phrase. So I'm just using this simple pitch shift plugin from Apple, and it does this, which is pretty fun. Next, I'm thinking we should add a little bit of piano, you know, back to the roots of this song, but maybe something a little bit more rhythmic. I think I like this. It's this preset in Shape called M-Tron Piano, but I think I want to make it sound even a little bit more vintage by adding a lo-fi effect to it. I'm just adding this free plugin from Isotope called Vinyl on the 1930 setting. Super simple. It sounds like this. Now that we're filling out this production, I noticed there's nothing yet in the bridge. The reason I haven't prioritized it yet is I'm envisioning this being a very vocal heavy part. If you listen to the original piano here, it's really simple. And I think I want to keep it this simple with just pretty vocal pads, but perhaps let's play with adding some more instruments that aren't too overwhelming to the section. I'm thinking specifically pads. Okay, so I went ahead and laid down the chords here, and I'm using Polymax here, which is UA's polysynth, which sounds really nice and has a lot of sort of 80s reminiscent presets. So let's go ahead and look through those presets and see if we find a sound that fits this bridge section. Something like that, but maybe a little less harsh. I really like the slow-mo pad here. I'm just kind of playing with the cutoff. You could even automate it. I think I'm going to keep it pretty low right now though, because I want this to be low-key. And I went ahead and played another part, which is sort of a more ornamental part here in the bridge that is using this Cosmos preset. I think this should be a nice instrumental bed for the vocals I'm going to add later in this part. So now that we're getting a little bit more into ornamental parts, I want to dial it back and go back to creating the more fundamental parts for the song, which I'm noticing we're still missing the bass. And for a song like this, there's a couple of ways you can go. You can definitely go with an electric bass, but I think for my style, for my group Liar style, using an 808 is a little bit more of our vibe. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm using Sublab here, by the way, to create this 808 sound, and this is what it sounds like against the track.
Same sky, silver on silver, we look damn good. Matching our dark sides, seen to you.
All right, it's really coming alive now. So when I went ahead and I used the same Sublab preset for the verse, arrangement-wise, I did something I really like quite a bit. So I did a dynamic shift from the first 2 bars of the verse to bars 3 and 4. And the first 2 bars, everything is kind of pulled back and there are no drums and no bass. And then everything hits you in bar 3. This is what this sounds like.
I love the nights when we turn off the light and we're lying in the quiet.
I generally really like playing with dynamics, especially with a melody like this that lends itself to it. So I would highly encourage you guys to do the same in your own songs. And now that I have my main 808 layer, I'd like to add another bass, something perhaps a little bit wider, maybe a sawtooth bass. I've got the serum patch here, which is nice and wide, and I think will work really well for this purpose. So let's go ahead and try it. It's subtle, but it definitely adds a lot. So I went ahead and did some funky stuff here for the post-chorus section. I added some pitch bends to the serum synth, and this is what it sounds like against the top line.
You got me seeing 2 moons in the same sky.
I really love this pitch bend upwards right here, because the top line has a break. Again, this is like playing with dynamics, making sure that if something is missing from one element, it is filled in with another. All right, I think this is a good stopping point for today. We have a pretty nice demo started. In the next video of the series, I'm going to expand on this demo and really build it out and elevate it and turn it into more of a full production. But let's take stock of where we're at and take a listen. I'm going to play a little bit of the song with all of the Luna extensions on.
When I'm with you, I can see 2 moons up in the same sky. Silver on silver, we look damn good. Matching our dark side.
And let me go ahead and turn them off just to see what it sounds like without them.
Seen to, you got me seeing 2 moons in the same sky. Seen to, you got me seeing.
Yeah, definitely a lot of the vibe is missing without the extensions. As I mentioned, the next video of this series will be all about building out this track to be a full production. So stay tuned and I will see you next time.